So it is time to make the upgrade video to the Zabbix 7.0, and for this example I'm going to be using Zabbix 6.0, so we're going to do the upgrade from the previous LTS version to the newest LTS version. And I don't really like making these upgrade videos because to me they're all the same. Like it actually doesn't matter so much whether you're upgrading from 6.0 to 7.0, from 6.2 to 7.0, 6.4, 7.0, and so on. Operating system as well, it doesn't really matter whether you're running like Alma Linux, Oracle Linux, Ubuntu, Debian, whatever else. Database, MySQL, MariaDB, Postgres, a little bit different commands, but in a nutshell, everything remains the same. So, okay, whatever. You asked for this video, so let's make the upgrade video. And as I said, like I will be running Alma Linux. I did the clean installation here, so it is let's see, Red Hat release Alma Linux 9.4. I do have the PostgreSQL 16, so I will not have to upgrade it. And I do have a Zabbix version 6.030. And I will try to comment like as much as possible on all the required steps and all of the different things that might be necessary depending if you're running like MySQL, Postgres, Ubuntu, previous Zabbix versions, newer Zabbix versions, whatever. So hopefully this video will fit you no matter on which version of the Zabbix you're running, and no matter of like what operating system and database engine you have. And to make my life easier and also your life easier, as usually this video will be based on a blog post from the InitMax, which actually describes very well the whole upgrade process, also including the PostgreSQL and Timescale DB. We're gonna go through this through this blog, but we will skip some of the things because, as I said, like I am already running on a PostgreSQL 16, so I don't need to upgrade that. Like preparation steps, read the release notes, and this is always like I do believe most of you gonna skip that because who reads the release notes, right? Who is worried about some sort of information? People usually read those only when your upgrade failed and something doesn't work. But you really need to. And this applies like to even if you skip 7.0 and you will be doing upgrade to 7.2 or 7.4, 8.0, 6.0, doesn't matter. Always spend some minutes to read through the release note. And I'm not saying that you actually need to open each new feature and improvements in the new version and like go to the bone, try to understand what has changed. No, but at least read between the lines. Like here, when we click, we can right away see that the Zabbix actually changed the licensing in a 7.0 to a GPL v3. We have some new website browser template. Here are some changes to the API. And API is definitely especially very important, especially if you have like, let's say 6.0. and we're having some sort of integration with API scripts and whatever. You don't want to be surprised if after the upgrade those will actually break. So you should be aware of all of the changes that are related to the API. So don't be lazy and read through the release notes. Then read the upgrade notes, which is another part of the information. And basically, like before you do the upgrade, like it's not a thing that you just yum upgrade and hope everything will be fine. Spend at least one day drinking a lot of coffee or a lot of tea and reading through all of this stuff, like minimum required PHP version and all of these dependency versions, especially when you are moving to the new LTS version. It's 100% that those going to be changed. Like the minimum required PHP version has been raised from 7.4 to 8.0, which is quite a breaking thing. And if you don't know that, you might start the upgrade process and then stubborn on the fact that your front end is not running anymore just because you don't have a required PHP version. And you might think, okay, I'm going to just quickly upgrade the PHP, but you could find out that a new version is not supported and not available on the distribution of your choice. So it's always recommended, and I would say it's even mandatory to read through all of this stuff. Check and optimize the performance of the current database according to the vendor recommendations and the requirements of the Zabbix instance. Well, this should be always like in place, no matter if you're planning upgrade or if you're just using the Zabbix and not thinking about the upgrade right now. Your database should be always tuned as much as possible, keeping in mind like your experience and knowledge about this database engine. This is crucial stuff to achieve like the solid performance of your monitoring Zabbix instance, and as well, of course, also applies to whenever you want to upgrade. Ensure that the versions of all components match the compatibility matrix of the new Zabbix version, well, which I already mentioned. Like whenever you're doing the major version upgrade, pay attention on the database version requirements, and the one that you have, pay attention to the PHP version for the front end, and also distribution version. Like you will not be able to install the Zabbix 7.0 server on like CentOS 7 or something like that. And another page where you can look this up is the documentation. Click on the 7.0, find the requirements, and here you will also see like the supported versions and everything that you might want to read. So this would be your homework. And then back up the configuration files of the Zabbix server and the Zabbix proxy. This is like more to be on a safe side. It is mentioned in all of the tutorials and guides on how to do the upgrade of the Zabbix. But to be honest, like nothing bad will happen with your configuration files during the upgrade. Like even if the upgrade fails, if the upgrade succeeds, configuration files with all the parameters will still remain in their previous location. But again, to be on a safe side and to avoid any surprises, it is better to spend this like 10 seconds to make a backup of all the config files, like the Zabbix server, proxy, maybe even agent, PHP, FPM, Nginx, database configuration, like everything that you have, put it in some folder just in case if somehow, like if you don't feel too comfortable with all of this upgrade procedure and you're like shady writing all the commands, then it is better to be as safe as it is possible. Back up the databases of the Zabbix server and, if applicable, the Zabbix proxy. Well, this is definitely important because that will be your only way to the rollback if the upgrade will not be successful. So whenever you start the upgrade, you can follow through the process in the log file, and if something goes wrong and if you don't know how to fix it right away, your best take to get back to the operations on a previous version is to just restore from the backup. If you don't have a backup, well, you pretty much screwed, and you will have to look for someone who actually understands what he is doing and can fix your upgrade process fast enough so that you can get back to the actual monitoring. And back up all the custom modifications that have been manually made at the Zabbix level. Well, yes, but at the same time, like if we're talking about some code changes, some front-end PHP changes, front-end modules, whatever, chances that those modifications will still be compatible with a Zabbix 7.0, and the chances that those will actually function without any problems are close to zero. So sure, make a backup just because it doesn't cost you anything. It's gonna cost like 10 seconds of the time to execute one or two commands, but most likely you will still have to adjust those and modify those to comply with the new version of the Zabbix 7.0. So starting with actual commands, first we'll have to check the versions of components that the operation of the Zabbix init depends on to ensure they precisely match the official compatibility matrix of the Zabbix 7.0. So PHP FPM -v. We have PHP 8.0.30, and Postgres version, as I said, I already have the version 16.3. So for me, all of this should be fine. And like before proceeding with the next steps, we will back up all the configuration files for the Zabbix server and the Zabbix proxy. Server location, Zabbix Agent 2, there is a chance that you don't have it. Like, if you don't, then just skip it. Maybe you have just Zabbix Agent. Then instead of agent2.conf, it's going to be agent.conf. Alert scripts, you can check if you have them at all. Not necessarily. Maybe you don't use any alert scripts. External scripts, front-end directory, HTTPD config, Zabbix config for HTTPD, and Zabbix web configuration files. So basically all the configuration files that will be affected by our upgrade. I'm gonna skip this step because, well, it's a clean installation for me, and I have actually nothing to worry about. So after that, like when we made a backup of everything, we read through the release notes and requirements and everything, we're good to go. We need to stop Zabbix server. So I will actually copy paste this everything. I think it will work like this. Hopefully it did. So we stopped the Zabbix server and we stopped the HTTPD. We don't want to do some crazy stuff with our packages and with our services while the service is running. So if you're planning to upgrade, it is a good thing to consider like a downtime. And instead of like forced downtime, make it a planned downtime and inform everyone that there will be a downtime for the Zabbix. Monitoring will not be available for a couple of hours or something like that, and make sure that there are no surprises. So the new version of Zabbix 7.0 requires the PHP versions ranging from 8.0 to 8.3. Currently we have version 8.0 on the server, but we'll perform update nonetheless. I have 8.3. No, I have 8.0, so we can try to upgrade. Like let's try to do that. DNF module. We will carry out the update by changing the package management system settings using DNF at the operating system level. We have had a good experience with the penal time version, as using the latest version may introduce bug directly in the PHP, which could cause usage issues, which is true. Like following the most recent versions might not be the greatest idea. So let's try to switch to the 8.2. And as you can see, this takes some time and we're done. Okay, so let's check whether that was successful. PHP FPM -v, and you can see we have the PHP version 8.2.13. If you have 8.0, that's also perfectly fine. Like it will work. So as it said, the range should be starting from the 8.0 and older. Database upgrades. So first we'll stop the currently running PostgreSQL server. Well, this is something I will definitely not do because I already have the latest version of the PostgreSQL 16. If you have the 13, you check the version like with the PSQL -v, then what you are doing, you are stopping the database, because even more than the Zabbix server process, it is absolutely not a good idea to run any deep modifications of the database before actually stopping it, just because, well, obviously you're risking with corrupting some of your data, which will not be a good thing. Like you might end up with completely losing all of your monitoring configuration and the history. So again, with the upgrade, stay on a safe side. Better stop the database and then do all the stuff. So DNF install PostgreSQL 16 server, and next we'll install the timescale DB extension, but we must install it in the same version as your old database. If it is not in the same version, the upgrade command will not work. Using the following command, you can compare the currently installed version for the PostgreSQL 13 and install the same version on the PostgreSQL for PostgreSQL 16. So yeah, well, copy paste this for 13, then change this to the 16 and run again. So if the version of the timescale DB extension is not the same, you will see the following error during the upgrade, like creating dump of database schemas, checking for presence for required libraries, fatal. This will be the problem. After you will install the PostgreSQL 16, you need to run initdb, which is just basic stuff. After successfully installing all dependencies, we'll run the provided update script, which will check for compatibility and, if necessary, fix internal tables and schemas according to changes between the versions as a Postgres user. So log in as a Postgres user and copy the contents from your previous PGHBA config file to the actual new version of your Postgres, so version 16. This is the only thing that changes. Optionally, we'll also transfer the configuration of the database server itself, like ensure the compatibility of individual configurational directives between the versions beforehand. So this is a slippery road. Like if you're doing the upgrade from, I know, maybe not 13, but something even older, there always is a chance that some of the parameters that you had in the config file in the previous version are not available anymore in the version to which you actually upgraded. So you might get a case when you're unable to start your PostgreSQL server just because you're using some of the parameters and configuration file in the configuration file that are not present. Then, when everything is done, we'll start a database migration. So, PG upgrade, -B, old version, -B, new version, and minus data directory and the new data directory. So basically, we're specifying old binary, new binary, and old data directory and new data directory. After that, we'll log out from the Postgres user, disable the old version of our PostgreSQL, so version 13, and enable the new version. So Postgres, log into the Postgres shell, and you can connect to the Zabbix database. In the next step, we'll update the state within the PostgreSQL database itself. So we're updating the timescale DB, and after successful update, we'll safely exit the PostgreSQL console. Exit. Analyze in stages. So re-indexing and performing the vacuum on the database. Like since we move the data from the Postgres 13 to the Postgres 16, especially if you have like a large database with a lot of stuff going inside, it's definitely a suggested thing to do. So just run the vacuum in all of the stages, all of the tables, and reindex the database. So the next step is to delete the old PostgreSQL cluster. These commands, and now it's safe to log out from the Postgres shell and completely delete all of the packages from the PostgreSQL 13 like this. There are different paths like how you can go with this. Like it really also depends from your situation. Maybe you have like directions from the management or whatever, like, hey, there we have the Zabbix 6.0 LTS, and here is the database server, here is the front-end server, and we want to decommission those. Maybe those are physical machines or whatever. So you will actually have a new servers for the Zabbix, a new servers for the Zabbix 7.0, and you basically need to run the upgrade, which sort of means that you need to do the migration because you already have the Zabbix 6.0 and you will have Zabbix 7.0 on the new servers. In that case, like all of the above, upgrading up to Postgres and PHP and whatever, it's not necessary. In that case, you are just configuring your new servers and installing the PostgreSQL 16 right from the scratch without any upgrades, whatever. Installing the correct version of the timescale DB, PHP, and all of the requirements, and then it's just a matter of like making a backup of your database, moving to the new servers, restoring the backup, and then you can proceed like with this, updating the Zabbix. Like we have successfully backed up everything and updated all dependent components versions according to the official compatibility matrix for the new version of the Zabbix, and now we can proceed with updating Zabbix itself and all its components. So first of all, we need to update repository. This will not work for me because I don't have a CentOS. What I will do is go to the Zabbix.com, click on the download page, Zabbix packages. So we are looking for the 7.0. I have Alma Linux 9 with a Postgres, right? So this will be my command instead of this. So this is not working because our packages are stopped right now, services. So be careful with this. Like this will work for the CentOS 9. If you have a different distribution, different operating system, like I do have Alma Linux 9, then just go to the Zabbix.com, pick whatever flavor you need, and copy paste the link to the repository. So CLI, copy paste, Most important to have like minus capital U, which will upgrade, and then we can DNF clean all 95 files, remove it. Good. Then DNF update Zabbix minus star and minus yes. That's, you can do that, but basically there's going to be no confirmation. Like, it's going to start immediately upgrading everything, all the packages that start with a Zabbix minus without any confirmation. And first of all, it's going to go through all of the repositories just because we did a DNF clean all. So this might take a couple of seconds. Like, if you're worried that you will not miss something, but maybe upgrade something extra, then you can delete the minus Y in the end, and you will actually see which packages are being upgraded, and you will be able to select like yes or no. Pay attention that the Zabbix server conf created as RPM new, and everything is done here. So since our Zabbix database uses the timescale.db extension, we must also run SQL script again to initialize hypertables. A new feature in version 7.0 is the hypertable audit log table. So let's make sure that we actually have this file. I will do it like this. ls. Yes, we do have the file. So supposedly I should be able to just copy paste this. I guess I don't have timescale DB. Yeah, timescale DB extension is not installed. So let me go back above. Like, where do we have this timescale DB? We'll install the timescale DB extension, but we must install it in the same version as your old database. If it is not in the same version, so I need 16 because my version was 16. Let's go here. Timescale DB Postgres. No, PostgreSQL 16 version. Let's try this. Yeah, sure. Unable to find Nomad for Arc to Postgres. Yum search timescale DB to Postgres. Okay, which were not timescale DB to loader and timescale DB to PostgreSQL. So I need to install this. Yum install PostgreSQL and timescale DB 16 like this. Hopefully that's gonna do the job. So again, depending on the distribution that you have, like the package naming or whatever, it could be a little bit different. Okay, that is done. If the version and creating the, if the version of the timescale DB extension is not the same, you will see the following error during the upgrade. Okay. hbconf will start the database migration, disable, enable. So alter table su minus Postgres PSQL and alter extension timescale DB update. Okay, so seems like I fixed the problem. Again, the thing is that I already have some leftovers of the timescale DB and the Postgres installation, but actually to fix it, I've used another guide of the initmax, which is how to install the Zabbix 7.0, which also has a paragraph about the timescale DB installation. So the only thing that I did is copy paste this, and after copy pasting this, I was able to run which one? DNF upgrade, yeah, execute the scripts to actually configure the timescale DB on the 7.0, and as you can see, timescale DB is configured successfully. So that would be good. What else? Since our Zabbix database that is done, systemctl start Zabbix server and start HTTPD. So those are two things that we need to do, and after that we can check the log file of the Zabbix server, which is here, and unsupported database, timescale DB. So we need to change the config parameter in the Zabbix server config file. I don't have a Vim, so let's use what was the actual parameter name? Unsupported. Allow unsupported DB version. So this is the one that we are changing to the one. I think that in this case, actually, our timescale database is newer than currently is supported by the Zabbix 7.0, so we actually need to change this parameter. So restarting again the Zabbix server and back to the log file, and as you can see, the upgrade started. So completed 30%, 50, 60, 70, 90, 100% of database upgrade fully completed. So Zabbix server started, everything is fine. We should also be able to check the front end. So refresh. Yes, everything is good. And as you can see, it's already version Zabbix 7.0. So configuring the Zabbix server. So let's open the Zabbix server configuration file. In this path, in this configuration file, modify the following parameters, as you can see in the example below. DB password, start report writers, install the language pack, so that would be like if you want to have the Czech or Slovak languages, and finally restart all the related services. Check the log file, allow unsupported version that we already did. Yeah, like if you don't have the web configuration file in the ls etc zabbix web, this one zabbix.conf php, then after accessing the front end, you will have to again go through this first time configuration wizard. And if you want to have multiple languages here, not only English, then you will have to install the language pack. And mostly that's about it. I've tried to cover majority cases, whether you're running Postgres, MySQL, Ubuntu, Debian, whatever. And I do understand that in my case, it's not going to be a perfect copy paste for you, but checking out the blog post, not this one, update, might be very helpful for you. And I hope that you got some insight on how to actually do the upgrade, and will try it yourself. So thank you for watching, and see you later in the next videos. Bye-bye.